Welcome, everyone. This is Dr. Francois du Toit, your naturopathic doctor and wellness coach. This is episode 6 of the Wellness Mastery of Dr. Du Toit podcast series. And today we're delving into the topic of sound sleep. So, this topic is very close to my heart as well, because I recognize that in the 21st century, so many people are struggling with finding an optimal balance between their lives and their sleeping time during the evenings. And it's really important to recognize that when we look at most of the topics of health and you look at through the lens of holistic balance, we're looking for the root cause of what is happening. Because when we focus on what we deem to be the problem or the challenge or the dis-ease, we often fail to actually look at what has been contributing to the main problem. And if we just stare at the concern by itself and focus relentlessly on just fixing your sleep, it actually makes matters worse. And this is true of all of the areas of dis-ease. So we need to look deeper, and need to look no further than understanding the powerful connection between the gut and the brain to start to understand and uncover what is the optimal way of, in essence, balancing your sleeping pattern. The research is definitive that your gastrointestinal lining controls the brain, and I delved into this very deeply in the previous episode, number 5, on the gut-brain connection. And everyone will recognize that in their lives that if you have ever had a experience, and especially an emotional reaction to that experience, you feel it first and foremost in your tummy or in your stomach, actually your gastrointestinal tract. You know that when you are in a deep and meaningful relationship, you're, especially people that have met their loved one, a partner, you have butterflies in the stomach. And we all understand and recognize the opposite that happens, unfortunately, much more frequently. The patterns of distress and anxiety that manifest as cramping and like knotted up in the stomach as well. So we recognize on the very deep and fundamental level that we feel and think through the experiences of our digestion, of our gastrointestinal tract. And if we put this in scientific terms, the gastrointestinal tract produces up to 90% of the neurotransmitters that actually control our brain, like serotonin, one of the most important neurotransmitters for influencing our mood and contributing to health and longevity. And these are the precursor hormones that the gut produces that also contributes to deep and meaningful sleep as well. To recognize that we can help our digestion to produce the optimal balance of neurotransmitters to give us joy and abundance, getting deep and meaningful sleep, it's important to delve into practices like meditation and breath work, which I delve deeply into episode 2 of this podcast series, where you start to recognize that when you have a routine or a practice where you find stillness and relaxation, you tap into some of the most healing brainwave states that any person can delve into. And there's some powerful research that's been done on this by Dr. Caroline Leaf, who's the world expert when it comes to brain health and psychology. And when we are practicing these forms of meditation, we can grow literally new brain pathways, neural pathways, which Dr. Caroline Leaf relates very much to a tree that is growing and roots, because these are the physical structures of the nervous system that look very much like a tree that is growing with a deep root system. And these brain pathways produce these powerful hormones that influence nearly every aspect of our lives. So we can build very strong neural pathways to enter into the alpha state. Now, the alpha state is the most foundational brainwave state that we can enter into. It's that resting awakeness, and it's a powerful, powerful state to tap into the deeper, more restful brainwave states that can dip us into the deeper sleep patterns, like dropping into theta, and even then eventually, and when we are in the deeper states, even into delta, which is our deeper sleep cycles. And to entrain your brain, there are so many different ways. But I found that listening to binaural frequencies and these different meditations with specific music frequencies helps to entrain the brain to go into these deeper brainwave states for relaxation and concentration for the day. And you can listen to these frequencies on headphones just before bed, and helps you dropping into these brainwave states even more easily and easily over time. I use this very powerfully when I was working in the corporate environment, where when a day's activities were so stressful and so hyped up that my brave brain just wouldn't want to shut down at night. And then I'd listen to these delta wave frequencies, and just the frequencies, not even like sounds, and you can add any background music to them. A lot of these apps on the different platforms can include nature sounds, and I think the crashing of the waves is a very powerful sound as well. But in essence, these are just frequencies. If you just listen purely to the frequencies that drop you into these brainwave states, that will help you to, in essence, calm the mind and drop down into the deepest sleep states that you could possibly imagine. I want to recall, people listen to my podcast and they would think, Francois, you seem to have a very calm state, and it is one of my core values to be calm. But it was a journey of tremendous challenges, where at one stage of my life, and for the biggest part of my life, I would say 2/3 of my life, I'm 37 years old this year in 2024. For about 2/3 of my life, I battled and was nearly crippled by anxiety. And I relate to moments where I had almost full blown panic attacks. And the journey from them helped me to recognize that I had literally grown a nervous system pathway, literally a highway in my nervous system to take me to stress and anxiety. And I'd never built a pathway or a tree, relating to Dr. Karen Life, a new brainwave structure in my mind, a physical structure that helps me to enter into deep states of rest and relaxation. And when I recognized this, I made my journey, especially in those years when I battled the most with anxiety and I recovered from them, I learned to build a brainwave state, a highway to peace, a highway to happiness. And, I'm sharing so much of the tools that I wish I had when I was younger and when I could not recognize or even knew that I was being crippled by stress and anxiety. And I think most people don't recognize how strong these patterns are until they practice meditation or breath work and really do the deep inner work or the soul's work to start to learn about themselves. So I think the positive challenge I give it to everyone is to learn to enter into rest. And a lot of these tools that I provide have been hard won by many experts and mentors that have coached me into this phase of my life where I am now, where it's still a growth path and I still struggle with stress and anxiety like any human being. But so much of it has been overcome with a new way of being. And one of the most profound meditation techniques that I've ever come across is the 6 phase meditation from Vishen Lakiani that he so graciously gifted to the world, and you can listen to that for free on YouTube. And so much of these pathways to relaxation and deep sleep starts when you actually practice any form of meditation. This is especially a very powerful tool in many of these schools of meditation, including from Vishen Lakiani's work, what they call the 10 to 1 countdown. And this is the alpha state entrainment that you can do. And the more often you practice it, the more easily it becomes to drop into this alpha state, this deep, relaxed, conscious awareness where you get inspiration and creativity. And eventually, on just the 3, 2, 1, like literally 3, 2, 1 countdown, drops you into the alpha state almost immediately. So I'd always say, with anything, this is, as they call these forms of meditation, a practice. It takes practice. It's a little bit every single day, and you build these neural networks and pathways. And later on, you'll think back, wow, with the snap of my finger, literally, I drop into this deeply relaxed state of rest. And it becomes easier and easier over time. And I also relate back to thinking about many people think that to gain deep and restful sleep, they need more sleep. And this is again looking at from the wrong angle. Most people would do fine with a lot less sleep, but a lot more quality sleep. And we need to look no further than the example of children. Now, let's take the ideal scenario of healthy children. They sleep very little and they wake up with a joy and excitement for the day, fully energized. And that's because they are still in the state of finding joy and exploring and finding pleasure in every single thing. Literally, the mind of a child is one of the best examples of how we can look at life to find an energetic state of balance. So people can find quality sleep, which doesn't have to be very long. But when you wake up with a joy and abundance mindset for that day, you are fully energized. And there's a lot of secrets and keys there to optimal sleep and health, just in that statement that I'd encourage you to reflect on. And so it's like becoming like a kid again and learning that this you could say, this abundance mindset of joy and discovering a new day and a new life experience, discovering your purpose and your passions, is the energetic formula for abundance. Because then these powerful hormones, neurotransmitters, are literally the fuel in your tank to give you the energy to have a productive, amazing day. And here I wanted to just drop into something so powerful that I learned from Dr. Michael Bruce, the New York Times sleep doctor and best-selling author, who's discovered that everyone has their own particular chronotype or sleep type that he relates to. Just for an example, different animals like the wolf type, that's considered like the night person, has been called in many other circles, the night owl. And there are many other types. And you can do a free chronotype assessment online by just Googling for Dr. Michael Bruce's sleep assessment. And then you can start to discover that there's certain times of the day where you're more productive than others, and you can actually schedule your entire work day and optimize your day pattern according to that, and find that optimal sleep window where you get more sleep in less time, just because you're going to bed at the right time and you're waking up at the right time as well. One of the other most powerful keys to actually restoring your sleeping pattern is recognizing that we need sunlight, and lots of it. I would return to episode 1 just to delve into the power of nature and sunlight as well. Because one of the most powerful tools to restore our circadian rhythm, which is your day and night, or your awake and sleep pattern rhythm, the hormonal rhythm of your body, is to start your day by going outside immediately upon waking and spending 15 to 20 minutes staring at the sky, because the amount of sunlight that enters into the pupil and activates your brain, activates the nervous system, leads to an activation of every energetic circuit and organ system of your body. which is simply one of the most profound tools for health and longevity that exists. For most of my career, I specialized into the topic of heart disease, especially the cholesterol heart disease myth. And I emphasize that word myth, but I won't delve into it deeply today, but maybe in another discussion. And when I was doing research for the next presentation on heart disease and cholesterol, one of the leading experts in cardiovascular health, a world recognized cardiologist, which I'll love to mention in the show notes because his name is not on the tip of my tongue at the moment. But he'd, after 40 or 50 years of being a cardiologist, discovered that one of the most important tools for heart health is exactly the same thing: waking up, going outside immediately, spending time outdoors in the direct sunlight, because that activation leads to calming down of the nervous system. And it also regulates and calms down your breath. And a very powerful understanding is that the breath and your heart rate are directly tied to each other. When you have a high heart rate, maybe like the stress and anxiety state, you have a high breathing rate. And when you have a low and calm breathing rate, you have a slow and calm heartbeat as well. And all of this into the true essence of a calm, relaxed state of being for optimal cardiovascular health comes from also just spending time outdoors, especially the first time in the first moments of the day, which then starts to program your nervous system and your circadian rhythm so that when the sun sets, ideally also spending more time just for the sunset, celebrating sunrise and sunset is such a powerful practice. And you would recognize that when the sun starts going down, you start becoming sleepy. Obviously, this is different for each chronotype, but the general pattern would be that as the sun sets, your body starts to also set and your organs start to go into resting mode. And you'll find it's easier and easier and easier to fall in a deep and restful sleep. Even it might take a couple of days or a couple of weeks to repeat this pattern of waking up with the sun and sitting with the sun literally to get into the circadian rhythm. That's different for everyone. Some people it'll be a remarkable change within one day, others within a couple of days or weeks, but it will be a life-changing and remarkable change in your health and your sleeping pattern. And that by itself has helped to cure and fix so many people's sleeping patterns as well. Now, just to reflect back on this overall wisdom of understanding that we can learn so much by observing children and their joy and their abundance mindset for discovering the day and energy, and then how easily they fall asleep as well, is to understand that on this journey of understanding your life vision and purpose, we find so much of the tools to finding the optimal energy for the day. And then naturally, as so many people have told me and what I've seen in movies portrayed, the warrior's sleep. You've had the day, you conquered the day, you took it on literally courageously as a warrior. And after having spent your day with productive energy, you fall into the warrior's sleep. And there is no deeper and more beautiful sleep than that. Having conquered the day, not necessarily that I'm trying to say the day is a war, but in essence, we are fighting certain of our daily challenges through. And if you can do that in the most deeply restful state of being, you'll see that everything balances out. When I reflect back on how amazing it's been since I discovered my own chronotype and sleeping pattern, how much more vibrant and deeply rejuvenated I feel when waking up in the mornings. I'm very grateful for the mentorship of so many of these sleep gurus, and I encourage you to spend some time listening to some of their content, be it Dr. Caroline Leaf or delving into some of the YouTube videos that Dr. Michael Bruce has released, so generously sharing so much of his life earned wisdom and scientific experience in terms of all of this. But one thing I do encourage everyone, if you're the typical 21st century person in this work life culture, we often fall into kind of like analysis paralysis. It's important to think about and understand that you can never analyze all of the information or come to a full understanding on any topic where you can feel full assurance that this is the perfect step, quote unquote, perfect step to take. It's by experimentation and by being playful in your journey where you discover and learn the most. So I wouldn't spend too much time. Follow your gut instinct, which is your intuition, your gut feeling. You know, by looking back on your life experiences so much, you will already learn about what your optimal day and your optimal sleep can and will look like if you emulate that, child in you again. And start by starting, and you will develop and optimize your day and sleep pattern faster than you can imagine just by taking on this approach. So, for today's quote, I came upon a message from Arthur Schopenhauer, which reads as follows: Each day is a little life, every waking and rising a little birth, every fresh morning a little youth, every going to rest and sleep a little death. There's so much wisdom in there, and it summarizes a lot of what I've been discussing today. And when we understand that even the state of sleep itself is one of the most deep states of meditation that exists, you'll start to understand that when you embrace that pattern of how to help your nervous system to enter into rest and relaxation as a daily practice, why the end result will always be embracing sleep for what it is: a death and a rebirth in the morning, and a celebration of new life. So, in my own words, to summarize, and this is really the overall message for today's discussion, is that sound sleep is a natural result of all the things done in abundance during the day on life's path of purpose. So I would discover and encourage you to lean into to discover what makes you come alive so you can live a day of abundance, full of joy and passion, finding the playful adventure of life that children find. And the natural result will be that you have literally, in this sense, overcome and conquered the day with all its potential challenges and obstacles, and you enter into that hero's, or let's say warrior's, sleep every single night. And this is what I speak out over you and entrust with you to find and discover for yourself. And when you reflect on your life's experiences, you will always discover that the secrets to optimal health and well being, as all these different 7 pillars that we are delving into discuss, you'll discover them in your own life. And you'll truly become, as one of my very powerful mentors has said, Dr. Sachin Patel, a world famous functional medicine doctor, that you will become the doctor of the future, because you are the doctor of the future, and you are your best doctor and your best healer. Recognizing that we are all in a journey of discovering, and we all need deep and meaningful relationships and certain mentors and coaches along the way. And I trust I have taken at least a position to be a guide in this moment so that you can take on this lesson for yourself, make it your own, and discover your own life's path, which will then, as a natural and effortless end destination, lead to every evening being the best sleep of your entire life. That's me, Dr. Toy, wrapping up for today. The next episode, the last of the 7 Pillars of Wellness, episode number 7, we'll be delving into frequent movement vis a vis exercise. And I'm looking forward to sharing more on how movement has inspired me and how exercise can and should be reframed to fit into our own unique and very special life purpose. Thank you, everyone. Trust you've had or are having an amazing day, or if you're listening to this at night, already winding down your day to enter into a deep and restful sleep. Maybe a last little rounding off on sleep hygiene, technology use. An hour or two before bed, start switching off all the lights. The artificial lights are such a block for the brain to enter into sleep. And we can put blue light filters on. We should adopt not for these horrendous LED bright white lights to the natural red and yellow lights like the old school bulbs always were. The closer to a flame, the closer to a candle, the more natural the light, the less the light. Just follow nature's pattern. When the sun has set, we would have made a fire, and the fire would have been on the ground, and the fire would have gone from the bright yellow to the orange to the red, and would have been on the ground where the angle is the same as the setting of the sun, not up above our heads where the sun would be, but on the ground level where when the light enters into our pupil, it tells the mind just from the angle that it's entering in, it's now the setting of the sun. And from that yellow to the orange to the red is already the formula and recipe for the light frequencies that helps the mind to enter into the deeply relaxed state of sleep. So that's my final takeaway and message. Trust you all do well, and looking forward to the next and final episode of the 7 Pillars of Wellness series. Thank you for listening. Please share this message with everyone that you know that would benefit from understanding their day and sleep cycle to optimize, and looking forward to sharing more as we delve deeper into this series of discussions.